On behalf of the Professional Baseball Strength and Conditioning Coaches Society, I'd like to welcome you to the PBSCCS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Messina. All right, everybody, I'm here with Juan Rodriguez of the Milwaukee Brewers organization. Juan, thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it. Tell the listeners about yourself, if you would.
How you doing? Well, my name is Juan Rodriguez. I'm naturally from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was a baseball player myself. I was drafted in 2005 by the Minnesota Twins in the 48th round, which I believe it doesn't exist anymore. And then I was drafted again in 2007 by the San Francisco Giants in the 21st round. Things didn't turn out quite as I was expecting, so I rejected and I went and played Division One ball at Texas Tech. And didn't turn out that good. I went back to Puerto Rico, played some semi-pro ball while I continued my studies. I graduated from speech and language therapy because my sister was doing pretty good at it. After working at it for a couple of years, I did not like it at all. But I still love baseball and I still love strength and conditioning. So I started reading some books from a fellow teammate, um, and I just read about this certification that you needed to get to be in the professional baseball. So I bought all the books and I started reading and reading and reading for about 6 months, and I took the test and I passed the CSCS on my first try. That's actually the first test of my life that I passed on the first one. Yeah, my driving, my speech and language therapies, all of them I failed my first time. I was so scared. But this one, I was so confident. I was so in love with the field that I passed it, the first one. Um, in 2005, I received a call from Carlo Alvarez, who was a strength conditioning coordinator for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I interviewed with him, and I got the job. I was for 2 years. I was a GCL strength coach, and I also helped. I helped him with the coordination of the academy down in Dominican Republic. Um, in 2016, I received the award of Strength Coach of the Year, and and now I just got a new job with the Milwaukee Brewers here in Arizona, and here I am.
Okay, so a little bit that I know about you since we worked together with the Pirates. You did some personal training in Puerto Rico, and you had some ball players out there. Can you tell me like how that translated to you working in pro ball with the Pirates and now with the Brewers? Like what you did there? Did you take any lessons from there that you brought with you to pro ball? Was it totally different? Kind of give us a little rundown of that.
Well, during that period of time where I was still a baseball player and when I was studying to be a CSCS, I was a very good friend with a guy named Orlando Feliciano. He's still Yadier Molina's personal trainer. So I just began to hanging out very often with them. He gave me all his books, and I just began assisting him while he was training them. And then once I got my CSCS, I just started having a bunch of professional baseball player from Puerto Rico. Uh, just to mention some of them, I had Martin Maldonado for over 6 years. I had Rene Rivera. I had Jose Molina, Yari's Molina, older brother. In 2010, I went with Martin Maldonado to the round robin at the Dominican Republic Winter Ball, and I was then the trainer for Team Dominican Republic for the 2011 Caribbean Series. In 2015, I went to Venezuela to Islas Margaritas for the Caribbean Series with Team Puerto Rico, who was Indios de Mayagüez back then. So I think that having the opportunity to work one on one with this group of professional baseball players helped me out a lot because I got to be in a bunch of conversations, whether it was off season, in season, and just to learn a little bit more about the game, more than I knew, and see how they react to people telling them what to do, what not to do, and that just helped create a plan, as far as like how they react, what do they really need, how do they respond to everything pretty much. It did it did hurt me a little bit going into the Pirates because I was back then I knew I was already good enough. I thought I was somebody when I went to the Pirates, and then I realized I was pretty much nothing. Those guys, those guys back then with the Pirates, they all had to do their bachelor's or masters, and they had to do whole years of internship to get there. Not everybody could get into an organization like the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I mean, I got there just in a different way. So, so that first year was pretty tough. It's pretty tough just getting to just go back to the basics, learn my role within the organization, and yeah, it was one year that I will never forget. It was very tough, but I'm very glad that I went through all this because now I appreciate everything from the smallest thing. Like I remember cleaning the weight room for over 3 hours my very first day, while everybody was in the office just looking at me. Yeah, I remember I was on my third day of work. I had my letter resigned. I was gonna quit. I was like, dude, I'm strength coach of big league players. I don't need to be here cleaning the machines or blah blah blah. But thanks to God, that day when I get to the facilities, Cal Alvarez, the coordinator, wasn't in the facility, so I could not resign. I take that as a message from God.
You got to pay your
Really,
dues, right, man? You got to pay your
yeah,
dues.
that's what I learned. That's one of the things I learned the most from the Pirates. Just to be, you need to be humble, and it was not about me anymore. It was more about something bigger than myself, and it was great. It was really great learning experience.
Yeah, and when you say cleaning for 3 hours, that's not an exaggeration. That weight room is huge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I did my first interview, they were on the old facilities, which was like a classroom. I was like, okay, this is good. But when I went for my first day of work, they had just created this big weight room, and it was tough to clean. I remember you cleaned that with me a couple times, but yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
was hard.
a lot of dust in a lot of areas that you wouldn't expect. So you're in the Brewers organization now, new organization. You're just starting this year, new role in the Arizona League. What are your responsibilities there? I know you said you did some work with the DR and the Pirates. What's your role, your responsibility now with the Brewers?
Well, here with the Brewers, I am the minor league strength coach and strength conditioning. Yeah, not strength coach, but
Specialist?
specialist. Yeah, they give me that name, specialist, which
Ah,
is
there you go.
the same thing. So I'm in charge of the ACL, which is pretty much the rookie ball, which is the same thing I was doing with the Pirates. But now I am in charge of coordinating and working within the athletic trainers and the physical therapists to develop the strengthening program for the rehabbers as well. And I also travel to the DR and help implement and develop the programs over the Dominican Republic Academy. And something that I'm doing besides that, I'm taking all the Latin players every time they have an appointment or a medical issue or something or the surgery out of town. I fly with them just to help in the translation type of work. So that's pretty much what I'm doing.
Okay. Okay. So knowing the language and coming from Puerto Rico has helped you out tremendously in your new role then.
Yeah, it's something that I always try not to be my primary tool, but I can't hide it. I mean, it's gonna follow me for the rest of my life. I have to be grateful that yes, I get to speak both languages, and but yeah, then I try not. I try that it's not my primary tool. I want to be a good strength coach because what I am, not because I can speak both languages. But at the same time, I'm very grateful that I can help those Latin American kids going through those type of process, like getting a Tommy John surgery or going to a medical appointment or just to going to get their social security, stuff like that, just being able to help them. I'm pretty much like an older brother for all of them.
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't realize, the extent that these kids are going through. Just, I mean, some of them, it's their first time ever leaving the DR or Venezuela or Puerto Rico, wherever they're coming from, and coming to the States. It's a whole new journey. So I bet they're very appreciative to have someone like you kind of be that guiding force, that big brother, so to speak. I bet they really do appreciate it. So, all right. So you mentioned that you won Strength and Conditioning Coach of the Year in the GCL last year with the Pirates. That's actually something that's voted on by all the other coaches in the league. So clearly you're doing something right amongst your peers. So what is it that you're doing that's making you successful? That's kind of making you stand out amongst your peers? What do you think that is that gets people to want to vote for you?
Well, I think in this field to be successful, you need communication. It's not just what you know about strength coach or how good you can set up a weight room or something. It's just how good you can communicate not only with your players but also with your peers at the other side of the field. Just being able to show people how can you control your group, how can your group of players can have fun while still doing what they're supposed to do, and just stay humble. Just try to communicate and try to learn from everybody. Try to know names and just be consistent on that. I think that's pretty much what allowed me to receive that award. I think, of course, the Pittsburgh Pirates play a big role into me being able to win that award.
Yeah, man, no doubt. I mean, I know from personal experience, you and I would go hit up the sushi bar once a week and just talk about strength and conditioning and anything else. And I take a lot of those talks with me still today on things we talked about and what I learned just speaking with you. So props to you, man. Congrats on the award.
Thank
and
you.
It's definitely well deserved. So along those lines, I guess you kind of answered the question, but there might be other things too. What do you believe makes a coach successful in this field? I know you mentioned communication. Is there anything else you think communication is?
Well, yeah, there's couple keys that again I think I learned them from the Pirates pretty much. One of them is having a white belt mentality. You probably remember this one. This one was taught by Coach Morales over with the Pirates, or the mental conditioning coach, and it's having a white belt mentality means just go to work with a humble mentality of learning, that you don't know everything. You need to spend time around people from different fields within the sport, and just try to pick everybody's brain, try to learn. That's the only way we can get better and compete with everybody else and within ourselves. Just have a white belt mentality, and that way you're gonna be just able to grow every day. Another one big in this field is just create empathy. I think it's crucial for us as strength coaches just to be able to communicate, but not only to communicate what we know, we need to be able to listen and to understand our athletes and our coaches. That way, whatever we have to say is gonna be helpful, because they're gonna know that what you're telling them is for their own good. I've been trying to emulate. I've been trying to read as many books as I can about John Wood, and he always said that they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's been my philosophy while working with this group of kids. You try to just sit down with them, listen to them, and before you say something, just make sure you completely understand what they're feeling. And after that, it's so much easier to have them buying in your philosophy, whether it's strength coach, baseball, whatever it is. It's just way easier.
I couldn't agree more, man. It's when they know that you care and it's genuine, they'll do anything for you. They'll run through walls. But if they feel you don't have their best interest, they'll turn the other cheek on you. So along those lines, you're working with young kids, showing them good empathy, communicating, listening. What are you trying to instill in those young players in terms of, is it discipline, accountability? Like I said earlier, you got a lot of kids. This is their first time in the States, and they might not know things like that. So what are you trying to instill with your young guys down in the Arizona League?
I will say everything starts with discipline. With discipline, because baseball is such a hard sport because it's a sport of being where you really need to be consistent. You do the exact same thing over 100 times. You take 300, 400 out of bats. You need to be consistent, and to be consistent, you need to be disciplined. Those guys coming over Latin America or just other high schools around the states, they need to be disciplined to be able to adapt the new culture on the whether it's in this new country that they just move in or just the organization overall. So discipline, being early, being on time every time, listening and respect everybody. Just just being disciplined overall will help them to go through everything in baseball.
And in terms of strength and conditioning specifically, I know you and I talked back in the day about how we would train young guys and from teaching athletic position and basic movement and things like that. Are you doing those things with those guys too? Like I said, some of those guys coming from the DR, their training age is probably low, or even high school kids, they might not have a training age, or they might have been doing something that's not necessarily wrong, but maybe not correct for kids at that age. So are those things you're instilling in those guys too down in the Arizona League?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's something that Carlo Alvarez and Joe Hughes were very, very big on, and it's just going back to the basis. As you mentioned, most of these guys had no athletic or physical training background at all. So you need to get them back to the very basics. As you mentioned, athletic position, just knowing the basic movements, knowing how to control their bodies, how to do the proper acceleration, deceleration mechanics before starting with crazy drills and plyometrics and all that stuff. And something that we always talk back then at the Pirates, like this is not a sprint race. This is a long-term race. These guys are expected to meet their final goal, whether it's AAA, big leagues, whatever it is, within 5, 6 years, most of them. So there's no rush. We should spend enough time. We should have patience to to walk them through all the stages of strength and conditioning, and it's very basic to just develop the basis, just like you mentioned, the athletic stance and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, just that's one of the biggest challenges for strength coach, especially at this level, the younger levels of the ACL or UCL. You just be patient. Sometimes we see athletes that they look very good moving around the baseball field, maybe taking ground balls and stuff, but then you take them to the weight room and they don't know how to perform a proper push up or just a good morning or basic movements like that, just to be able to just breathe and just be patient with the guys and show them and show them and show them and let them know why you're doing this, and not because they're doing an easier exercise or a level one type of exercise that means less they're less capable of performing. You just want them to take it like like one thing at a time.
Yeah, I had some kids that I used to train in the off season, a lot of younger guys, and it was like every day come in, just pound the basics, and then you'd think that you'd get it, and then the next day they'd come in and it'd be right back to square one. Like, we're doing hip hinge today. Like, what's that? I don't. You're like, you got to take a step back and realize, like, a lot of these guys, like you said, it's a long term, slow cook process. And I think it's right now we're in a generation of like, I want this done right now. Like, I need to learn how to squat right now. So it's refreshing to hear that. Like, take a step back, teach them the movements, and if it takes them 5 years to learn the movement, we got 5 years to play with. So that's good stuff, man. What advice do you have for others in this field that want to be successful, whether it be young coaches moving up or older guys that have been in the field a while and are just looking, to stay in the field? What advice do you have?
Well, the first advice I will have to tell them is just discover your why. Before you get into this business, make sure you really want to be here. Ask yourself why I want to be here. Like, do you want to be here for the money? Because if it's that, you're in the wrong field. You need to be here because you want to make an impact of somebody's life. You want to help them getting to their goals or reach their dreams. If it's not that, I'm gonna let you know. Please go find something else because you're not gonna be very happy. Another advice: just try to work outside of your bubble. Try to get out of your comfortable zone. There's thousands of people that know strength and conditioning, that know sports science. But if you want to work on the baseball field, you need to know baseball. And I'm not saying you need to be a professional baseball player or a college player, but you need to know the basics. You need to go outside and sit with the with the with the coach and just see the movement, see what the coach thinks the player needs, and create relationships. So when you go back to your weight room, you know what are you doing when you're when you're writing down a routine for a certain player. You know what he needs, and not just what you read on a book. Just make sure you know the sports. Well, that's for me. That's pretty much it. Just know your stuff. Make sure you know your stuff.
Yeah, that's helped me a lot, man. Just being able to, even just go out and watch BP and talk with the hitting coach and say, is there anything I can do that's going to help him out here, right? Because at the end of the day, they're here to play baseball. They're not here to be Olympic weightlifters or powerlifters, but what we do in the weight room should help them in some way on the field. And if it's not, then we're not really doing our job.
Yeah. If he doesn't carry over to the field, then you're wasting your time.
Agree. 100%.
Yeah, you should impact the way they play in a positive way, of course.
Absolutely. Continuing education resources. I know you said you've been reading a lot of books lately. What kind of books do you recommend? You listen to any podcasts or go to any seminars? Where do you continue to gain your knowledge?
Well, since it's 2007, and my CSCS certification is due before the end of the year, I'm doing all the small quizzes that you have on the webpage. That's big. But I like to read a lot of sports psych type of books. Like I just finished reading The Mental Game, and Heads Up Baseball is a really good one. I recommend it to all of you guys because it gives you a lot of points to help your players and the way you should coach them. I also like reading, as I mentioned before, John Wooden. I think you want to be a good strength coach, you might want to read about the best coach in all history of the United States. He's a very good one to read. And I like to read a lot of like politics from back home. That just takes me. It's just give me some breathe, and I love it. I like to just remember where I come from and what's going on over there back home, and that's pretty much it. And just try to have conversations with people that you think are smarter than you, so you can get smarter. That's why I give you calls every once in a while, Popeye.
Well, I appreciate the little plug there, man. But all right, man. I know it's your off day. We got an off day here in Altoona, but if you got some time, I'd like to do a lightning round. I think it'd be fun.
Well, again, I have to make the disclosure. English is my secondary language, okay? So if I say something wrong, make sure you edit it, okay?
Of course, man. All right, first question. Who has had the greatest influence on you as a strength and conditioning coach?
Joe Hughes.
That's it? No further explanation, just Joe?
No further explanation.
If people know Joe, they know, man. He is unbelievable.
The pleasure to meet Joe Hughes. Knows what I'm talking about. He made my life miserable back then, but now I'm very grateful to him. It's like one of those teachers you have back in middle school that has you grinding for grades. So he made my life pretty hard back with the Pirates, but he showed me how important it is to be disciplined, how to be prepared before the day even starts, and I'm very grateful. Yeah, it's great teacher.
I'll never remember that, or I'll never forget that one time when he told us to leaf blow the turf, and we didn't do it, and he came in the morning and just looked at us and said, "You guys forgot to leaf blow the turf," and we just knew it wasn't good. So anybody that's met Joe knows, man, he's hard nosed, but at the end of the day, he's got your best interest, the player's best interest, and that's something that anybody can learn from, man. Is
some tough love.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. All right.
I still remember where we had to set up the fields for stretch and conditioning at 5 a.m. with a flashlight because there was no light still, and it was crazy.
Yeah, man. But you look back on it and you're like, that helped mold who we are, and you got to be appreciative of it.
Now when I go to the field, I close my eyes and I can set up cones perfectly in a straight line.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, second question. If you only had one piece of equipment to train with, what would it be?
Oof. Oh, God. Just a barbell. Just a barbell, yeah. Deadlift. I can deadlift, squat. I can do everything with barbell, yeah. A lot of bicep curls.
I don't know if you remember, you asked me to write you a program one time with the Pirates, and everything was barbell based.
Yeah, pretty much. I do remember. Yes, pretty good.
All right.
I follow it for half a week, just so you know.
Well, I appreciate you putting the time into my program.
Absolutely.
Third one. What's your greatest accomplishment professionally or personally, or both?
Well, I don't know what to tell you, really. I wasn't expecting this question. I don't know. I think my marriage. It has been the key of everything else I've been able to accomplish. I think without it, I would not be here. So, yeah, my marriage has been solid through the years. Been 15 years with the same woman, and it's been great. It's been great. It's been very supportive. We've done a bunch of crazy stuff. We have moved around from country to country. We have been following our dreams. So I have to say, marriage. That's the biggest thing I've done.
Having a support system is huge, man.
You're not supposed to make me cry right now.
The support system is huge, man. My getting married in October, my wife has been a real good supporter for my career too, and right back at her. She's chasing her dreams, I'm chasing mine. So I know you know the feeling, and second baby on the way soon. So
second baby on the way.
Congrats on that, man. That's awesome.
I'll leave the game with 2 strikes. 2 girls. But yeah, especially on this field, man, it's very important to have supporting one to help you through it, just to help you, especially in spring training after those long days and nights. Just knowing that you have somebody back home that's going to support you. Very good.
No doubt. Last one. Any career other than strength and conditioning, what would you choose?
Professional baseball. If I had another chance, I would work harder and just be a professional baseball player. That's just all I know. All I know is just baseball, and just being on that field between those lines, having people watching you play and performing, and just getting paid by just playing game, is awesome. I was gonna say singer, but my voice is not very good.
Well, maybe you'd be blessed with the talent of singing in a different life. All right, man. If the listeners want to get in contact with you, where can we get in contact with you to learn more? Are you social media, or are you not on any of that?
Yeah, you can email me at juan.rodriguez@brewers.com. Juan.rodriguez@brewers.com. Yes, or you can follow me on any of the platforms as Juan D. Rodriguez. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, MSN Messenger, whatever it is.
Well, it's good that you're open to everybody. I'm sure you'll probably get a ton of emails about this podcast.
Yeah, right.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on. It's been great. I had a lot of good laughs. Good to catch up again, and a ton of good stuff on this one.
Thank you very much. Let me know if you're doing the Son of Fall this year. we have some good sushi around.
No doubt. I know firsthand. So, all right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Yep. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the talk today with Juan. Juan's one of those guys that I consider a really good friend of mine, both in life and in the field. We spent our first year of pro ball together back in the Pirates organization, and kind of taken our own paths, but have still stayed in touch. He's a really good guy, and he's a really smart guy. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. A couple of the things that I took away from him, he talked about his unique journey. And I think at the end of the day, it's not necessarily how we get there. It's just enjoying the journey and understanding that our process might be a little bit different than somebody else's, but we still might end up in the same spot. Another thing he talked about is creating empathy. He's got a lot of guys from the DR. It's their first time in the United States and experiencing our culture, and it helps to be able to understand what they're going through and kind of take a step back and appreciate what they're doing and leaving their families and leaving their country just to come pursue their dreams. And then the third one is pay your dues. We talked about how we cleaned the weight room with the Pirates, and he had to take a step back and really understand that this game is much bigger than just us and ourselves, and we're looking out for other people's livelihood, and he hit the nail on the head when we talked about paying your dues. So those are three things that I took away from him. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed the talk. I know I did. I had a lot of fun catching up with him, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.